Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, along with Tim Fitzgerald. Welcome back to the Big 12 Insiders. Appreciate everybody being in here. We have got a really good show for you guys today. Obviously, we're going to cover what happened last night in Big 12 tournament action, cover some of the games today. Going to be some really good basketball within the Big 12 today. It's going to be real exciting. But the main topic that we're going to talk about at the end is the trenches or the treacherous navigation fits of NIL and transfer portal, and how everything is not all, just rosy sunshine. It is not that way. We saw it last night. We'll get into that a little bit. But first things first, Fitz, we haven't talked in a while. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm suddenly freed up to help you out quite a bit now by Kansas State being eliminated. So here I am. I'm ready to go.
I got you. I appreciate it, man. Well, let's go over what happened last night. But before we do anything, remember, like, follow, subscribe, continue to get in the comments section, people. We appreciate it. And thank you guys again for the support that you've given us. Always hit that notification bell to let you know exactly when Big 12 Insiders content comes out. So let's cover what happened yesterday first. Iowa State put the smack down on Cincinnati, 76-56. Little injury bug, I think, a little bit with Iowa State, but it didn't matter. They just were more physically imposing than Cincinnati Fits. They were just the better team. We knew they were the better team. I thought Cincinnati might put forth a little more effort in a chance to win a game that they had to win to have any chance to make the tournament. That did not happen. Iowa State just smacked them around.
I think we're seeing some teams in the middle of this conference assert itself.
Yeah.
And Iowa State is returning to the form that Iowa State was for much of the year before they started losing some games here late. They looked really good at Kansas State to end the season. Looked really good against Cincinnati. We'll see how it shakes out today in a really interesting matchup. But that Iowa State team, when they play like that, that's a really good basketball team.
Absolutely. I was just going to say, when Iowa State plays like that, there's not a lot of teams in the country that are going to beat them. Next game up, West Virginia. I just don't know. Look, they're going to make the tournament, Fits, but 67-60, you get beat by Colorado. I mean, I guess it's easy to say, look, the tournament, anything can happen. We're sitting here talking about how inconsistent and bad West Virginia has played basically the last month and a half here, but they could end up in the Sweet 16. You get the right matchup. You never know how that goes, but I got a feeling that they're going to end up in Dayton because of this loss. They're going to end up as one of the last teams to make the tournament. That's just inexcusable, but good for Colorado. They're still fighting.
Colorado has won 3 games in a row. It goes back to the end of the regular season. Is Colorado the hottest team in the Big 12? Now look, if Colorado beats Houston today, I'm all in, man. I'm in. I'm putting money on them to win a national title. In fact, I haven't talked to my wife, and I probably need to talk to a financial advisor, but I'm thinking about a second mortgage on the house to bet on Colorado because, they look unbeatable. But in all seriousness, congratulations to Tad Boyle and the Buffaloes for not just shutting it down.
Yeah.
To playing through the finish line and running hard, and they're doing it. And they've looked good, man. Look, West Virginia certainly played down in some ways, but Colorado's playing up. And this is the team that played so well early in the year and we thought would be good and then fell apart in Big 12 play. But they're still scrapping. I think they're going to get smoked today, but it's been a fun 2 games.
It has been a fun 2 games. I'm disappointed in West Virginia, but as much as I'm disappointed in them, you're right. I am happy for Colorado.
Yeah.
Moving on, Kansas State. This one wasn't good. Baylor. Look, Baylor's better than Kansas State, but Baylor, again, we've talked about the up and down, the inconsistency. Yesterday was good Baylor. That was the good Baylor. And if this Baylor continues to play this way, Fitz, I'm telling you, they're going to cause some people problems. Baylor is one of those teams that you could say, you know what, they get beat in the first round and get smoked, or they end up in the Elite Eight.
Yep.
That's because they're so talented. They are so talented. And if they shoot the ball like they shot it yesterday with the talent to go with it, again, that's a team you could say, hey, yeah, I'm not surprised they're in the Elite Eight because look at the talent. Look how well they play. They kind of put Kansas State out of their misery yesterday. That's
a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I look, I've never really seen anything like this. And this is something because I covered the game, so I'm kind of aware of it. Baylor scored 41 points in the first half. That's a pretty good half. They had 3 points from the free throw line. They had some 3-pointers, and the rest were at the rim, points in the paint. They had no mid-range jumpers. They either scored from the free throw line, the 3-point line, or in the paint. Every point. No 15-footer, no 19-footer just inside the arc. They were so methodical in how they just dismantled K-State's defense in that first half. It was beautiful. They scored at the rim over and over, and when K-State cut that off, they hit a 3-pointer and opened it back up. It was surgical. That team can go to the Final Four, but you're right. That team could also not show up for the first round of the tournament and lose.
Yes.
So that's been Baylor's issue. But boy, they were really good. K-State was really bad. And in fact, the scores are reflective of how out of whack that game was. I thought Baylor was just much better.
Yeah, they were just better. And good for them. Moving on to the next round, I think they need to find some consistency heading to the NCAA. And then Kansas survives in overtime over UCF 98-94. Look, I had been talking about Kansas Fitz over the last few games, even the 2 games that they lost to Houston and Texas Tech. They fought and they looked better. They looked like a better basketball team. They just didn't win the close games because, let's face it, Tech and Houston is better than Kansas. But then they beat Arizona, and I'm like, you know what? It's starting to carry over.
Yep.
They're figuring it out. Now, they won the game yesterday, but UCF gave the game away twice to Kansas. I don't know. I'll give them credit for winning the game. It was a close game, and yes, they ended up winning. But Kansas is better than UCF, or so we think they are. But they just didn't look good to me. That didn't look like a typical Kansas Big 12 tournament type of basketball team, Fitz.
No, and I see some KU fans, celebrating, and I'm like, you were supposed to win that game. I mean,
yes,
we're now winning the close ones. Well, it was UCF. You're Kansas. I mean, I don't know. We'll find out more today, I guess. Onward they go, and we'll see if they can hold up again. But this isn't a complete Kansas team. This is not been a good team by KU standards in any way.
Nope.
But they have an opportunity here to really prove things, and they've got some nice pieces. They're good enough to go on a run. There's no doubt about that. They got the talent to do that, but they typically just overpower people. This team isn't like that. They've got to grind and really pay attention to details like an underdog would. And that's what they had to do down the stretch against UCF, and it worked. But boy, that's a team you should handle, not celebrate beating.
Correct.
So we'll see how the next few days go for the Jayhawks.
Absolutely. Now, here's the positive note to all of this, Fitz. On Tuesday, I started out 1-3. Yesterday, 3-1. Boom, we're back to 500. Yesterday I told everybody, do not take my betting advice. Whatever you do, don't do it. Today, hey, you know what? You might want to rely on Big B a little bit. Maybe he's not so bad. Back to 500.
I tell people not to take my betting advice, and the person that needs to listen the most is me. And I don't, but I have not picked any games here. I haven't formally picked games. I thought about depositing more money in one of my accounts, but why? I'm just going to lose it because I take my own betting advice, and I suck at that. I got to stop listening to myself. And really, you stop thinking about Big B. That's all through life. I got to stop listening to be not just betting, but I've got a lot. I got a lot of stuff to pay attention to.
Right.
And betting is I'm not good. I'm not good.
Yeah, me neither.
I think I just, in fact, locked up that Kansas will win the Big 12 tournament.
See, that my thing is that I always, when it comes to betting, I always listen to my heart and not my head. I never listen to my head, and that'll get you beat 95% of the time. So, games today, though, like I said, best game right out of the chute, Big 12, Iowa State at BYU. It might be the best game in the country today, Fitz. BYU is on an absolute roll. Iowa State playing really well the last couple of games. Going to be a very, very close game. I think it's going to be a physical basketball game. But you know what? I'm going to give the nod to Iowa State. I like BYU. I've been on their bandwagon the last few weeks, but I'm going to go with Iowa State to win this one.
Interesting. It's going to be a great game. I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad we're recording nice and early so I can watch it. Like BYU's playing like a Final Four team. They really are. That's not an overstatement. They look really good. And Iowa State's capable of being that. A reminder, with this 16 school bracket now, we've had 2 full days of games, and we've got a third one because there's still 8 teams going. This is a quarterfinal matchup in the Big 12. So this conference still plays big-time basketball.
Yep.
And this is going to be an elite game. Both of these teams are going to have something to say if they get clicking in the NCAA tournament. But this is going to be a fun one to start with today.
Absolutely. Can't wait to watch it. Next up, we got Colorado against Houston. Colorado, like you said, has won 3 in a row, 2 games in the tournament. But I think all of that ends today. Look, I don't even suspect that Houston blows out Colorado. That's not Houston's MO. It's like they're not just, hey, we're going to go out here and beat you by 25 points. Yeah, we beat you by 8. We beat you by 10. We're just going to show up. We're going to do what we do. We're going to be physical. We're going to make enough shots, turn you over. We're just going to play smart basketball and just win the game.
Right.
That's Houston. So if people think that, well, Houston's not playing well, if they don't win by 30, it doesn't mean that, Fitz. It just they that's not who they are.
No.
They just win. And for me, give me 1-point victories all year and hand me a trophy at the end of the year. I'll take it.
I think they're just going to win this game with defense.
Yeah.
And, that's so Kelvin Sampson. I'm looking at something like 58-48. Just smother the crap out of them. And 58-48, and like people go, they only won by 10. And you're like, well, they from the midpoint of the first half, they never led by less than 8. I mean, it'll just be one of those games where, hey, it seems close, but the opponent was never really in it. They were never allowed to get close enough to make something happen. And that's how Houston tends to play. It's beautiful basketball, defense first basketball. Poor Colorado. It's been a fun 2 days. And I know everyone likes to vacation in Kansas City. That's been well established. But it's time to go home to the ugly mountains and do whatever you do in Boulder, if you know what I mean. And just head back there after today. It's not going to go well for them, but it was fun. It's like a trip to Colorado. It was fun, but eventually come out of your fog and got to go home.
Yeah, it's Houston's really good, man. They're a really good basketball team. Baylor taking on Tech. I'm on record. I've picked Tech to win the Big 12 tournament. So I like Tech. I think they win this game. Again, the inconsistencies of Baylor. I would love to see Baylor come out and play like they played against Kansas State.
Yes.
I would love to see it. Unfortunately, we just haven't seen enough of those games in a row to be able to tell you that they're going to do that. So, but I think Tech's rolling. I like them, and give me Tech in this basketball game.
I agree with you. I think Tech is playing elite basketball. But here's the thing. Baylor is capable of playing that. I don't know if they did it against Kansas State, because honestly, it was Kansas State that has been wildly inconsistent this season. But they're capable of playing at a really high level. And if they start doing that, here's a good time to do it. Here's a good time to prove that. You get this win, you've just improved your seeding. And I don't think you've impacted Tech's at all. So this will be an interesting game for me because this could be another really good Big 12 basketball game in a year in which people are trying to say the Big 12 isn't as good as it has been. I think this one's going to be fun to watch if, as you mentioned, Baylor decides to play the way it's capable of, and not in this kind of chance we're just going to be good today and 1 in 10 games. They're capable of playing a high level on a more consistent basis. They really are.
Absolutely. And let's hope that we see that today. I want to see a good game. Then finally, we got Kansas against Arizona. Look, Arizona's lost 5 of 8. You look up and you're like, heck, they've lost 5 of their last 8 games. What is going on here? I still think Arizona's a good basketball team, but again, they haven't won as many games down the stretch as I thought that they would. Now, they played good competition. There's no doubt about that. But they still haven't won the games. They haven't won as many games as I thought that they would win. And playing against Kansas, now they just played a week ago, and Kansas beat them. I'm going to take Arizona in this basketball game, but they got to play better. Just fact of the matter, they have to play better basketball. They got to make some shots. They got to defend. They got to play better. But I'm going to take Arizona to win because I just didn't like what I saw out of Kansas last night.
Let's go back to when the Pac-12 schools were added to this conference, and we all focused on football naturally, but basketball, this was significant. Arizona coming in the conference was significant. And here we are in the first year of them being in the conference. We've got Arizona and Kansas in the Big 12 tournament. I mean, we were looking forward to this. It's a quarterfinal game.
Yeah.
That's how weird it's been this year in the Big 12. Both these programs that are known to be elite national level programs have struggled at times this year. Kansas seems to be coming out of that funk. Arizona's in that funk, thanks in part to losing at Kansas. This is a game that will sort out which direction these teams are going, I think, because as hard as I was on Kansas for barely getting past UCF, I think they're capable of keeping Arizona down. We'll just see how the Wildcats react in the face of playing a neutral site game that is going to feel like a road game.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely going to feel like a road game. Same with BYU. Now, BYU is going to bring some fans, but let's not kid ourselves. Iowa State, they're going to show up for this game. So, there are going to be a lot of Iowa State fans. Again, if you haven't been to Kansas City for the Big 12 tournament and you keep bashing on it, just go once. Just go, show up, and then tell us what you think afterward. Is it Las Vegas? No, nothing is Las Vegas. But don't tell me that it's not a good fan experience, because it absolutely is.
Here's something the folks are not picking up about how important, that's not the right word, valued the Big 12 tournament is, cherished it is for the fans that attend it. Yes, as I mentioned, there's going to be a lot of KU fans and not many Arizona fans in this game. But you know who will be Arizona fans? Iowa State fans. Yeah. Because they're not going to play the day session and not come back at night. Correct. A lot of them are going to be there. People go, I'm telling you, people go to watch the basketball. And I'm saying, of course they watch their team. No, there'll be Kansas State fans, even though they're eliminated, in that arena. And I can guarantee you, they'll be cheering for BYU against Iowa State, as will KU fans. And Iowa State and K-State fans will be cheering for Arizona.
Yep.
It's not as unbalanced as you might think, because fans just adopt the lesser of the two evils quite a bit, because they keep going to the games even though their team might have been eliminated or the team might have played earlier, or they sell their tickets to someone that will go. But it's going to be fun. I don't think it'll be as out of whack as Arizona fans may want to think.
Right. Exactly. It won't be. So, well, let's change the script here, flip the script, and let's get to what we originally wanted to talk about, is kind of the pitfalls of NIL and the transfer portal as it pertains to college basketball. A lot of times we talk about it with college football. Look, as you guys know, I'm a former college athlete. I played college athletics, Division I basketball and football. I am pro player. 99% of the time, I'm going to be on the player side as long as it makes sense. And that's a huge caveat. As long as it makes sense, I am going to be on the player side. I don't want to apologize for that. I'm never going to change that stance. That's who I am at my core. However, it doesn't mean that everything is all just sunny. It doesn't mean that. And look, we saw some of this year. Look, I'm not going to pick on people individually, but I can talk about a program. We can just talk about Kansas State. Look, Kansas State, as far as basketball, it was widely talked about. They were one of the top teams that spent the most money in NIL, and it didn't work out for them. Obviously, we saw the results on the court. The problem with all of it is, and as far as the player side and the coach's side, is that if I don't feel bad for any player that receives money. I think everybody should be able to take advantage of their God-given abilities and, and take advantage of that to the fullest extent, whatever that happens to be. However, there's expectations and there's scrutiny and things that come with that. There's responsibilities and expectations. And if you don't live up to that, people are going to talk about you.
Yep.
Now, people are going to talk about you no matter what, whether good or bad. Just that's the nature of human beings. There's a lot of just angry human beings and jealous human beings out there. But if you don't live up to expectations as part of this, people have a right to say whatever they want, at least in this country.
Right.
But they're going to say those things when you don't live up. And for me, Fitz, that's the downside of the NIL and the transfer portal, is that people only want to see the good. When it doesn't turn out good, and look, I'll just put it out there. Jerome Tang panicked. He built a team on NIL, but he didn't build an actual basketball team. He brought in a collection of players. I've said it over and over again. A collection of players that didn't fit based on what happened last season with his squad. He tried to recreate what happened the first year. The problem is the first year he had a basketball team. He had 2 stars, but that was a team with defined roles. This year, that was not the case.
No.
And they paid the price for it. You can't do that. Other places, we see it around the country. NIL and transfer portal works, but they built basketball teams. You guys know that I'm a diehard Louisville fan. Diehard till I die. They turned it around because they built a basketball team with people with defined roles, not just a collection of guys, and we'll just throw it together and we'll hope that it works and we'll try to figure it out as we go. Doesn't work that way. Does not work that way, and they paid the price for that.
Of course, we're talking about Coleman Hawkins breaking down in post game in the locker room.
Oh, man, I mean, I don't even know, man. My heart breaks for the team because these guys haven't experienced some of the things I've experienced. And, I really wanted to come in and impact the program. Fuck, man. I'm sorry for crying, but this shit hurts. But I feel like I let a lot of people down. And I feel like I did a poor job of letting people talk about me and affect my play. And it was evident all year. And I wish I could just go back and block out everything, not for myself, but for the team, so we could have had a more successful year. But, I mean, this is a learning lesson for me. And I wish the best for the future of this program.
My other site, the Go Power Cat site, chose not to run it because I thought it was too raw. And I was afraid how fans would, react to it. K-State fans have actually been really supportive of Coleman, and because he laid it all out there. I mean, it was raw about social media, about the criticism he's taken, and I'm really torn about it. First, I want to start here. Coleman Hawkins is a remarkable young man, highly intelligent, has a really high skill level, an exceedingly high ability. He's an incredible passer. He's 6'10". He can handle it. He can defend when he wants to. And he proved in the first round that he can be an explosive scorer. And then he proved in the second round that there's no consistency to his game. And that's really been the problem here. He is more volatile in terms of highs and lows than almost any player I've covered. And that's frustrating for fans. And they lash out at social media. You know, you can score 26 one night, but then you look like you're not even able to play basketball the next night. This is where Coleman Hawkins needs to hold himself to account for these inconsistencies. But he's also a guy who enjoys social media and mixes it up on social media. And it's hard to turn around and then claim victimhood. And I don't know if that's really what he's doing from, people being mean on social media. There's some real craps on social media. Yeah. I mean, there's some people that just, that literally all they're doing is shit posting and wanting to be rude to people and be hostile to people and ruin people's days. I have no business. I have no interest in those people. And fans, because it stands for what, Brien?
Fanatic.
React like children sometimes after a game and absolutely lash out and destroy everything they can find because they didn't get their juice box on time. That's just the way it is now. And it sucks. I mean, one of the things I love is now a reaction on social media that cracks me up is fans, and it happens with all schools. K-State wants to say it's just about them. Start lashing out at the media that cover the team like they're part of the problem because they didn't ask the right question to change everything around. People just get irrational, they get hostile, and they get childlike after losses and after when things aren't going well. And I'm sorry that Coleman felt like he was in the crossfire. That sucks. Dude, you got paid $2 million or somewhere in that ballpark. I know we don't know the actual number. I'm sorry if it's hard for you to understand that when someone is making, let's say $100K, a good living, but they're buying tickets to every game and they're making the drive to Manhattan to every game. And here's a kid that, honestly, by the math, if it was $2 million, is getting paid $70,000 a game. Coleman, you're a professional. You may not feel like it because you're still in college, and that's not the way it's always been, but you're a highly paid professional. And if you want to blame the amount of money you got paid for too much attention, take less money. You're not going to do that.
No.
So
nor should he.
No. I mean, if you're out hiking and you build your tent on rocks and you sleep on rocks, don't blame anyone but yourself for a bad night's sleep. This is another thing that has happened in our society is self-accountability. I played a role in this. It didn't happen to me. I somehow played a role. This wasn't a blindside car accident. I was at the wheel and I was seeing everything going on. I feel bad for him, and I really like this kid. And again, that was tough to watch in the locker room, but it's part of the college game now, Big B. It just is. It just is. We can't deny that it's not professional basketball because it is. Even the kids sitting on the bench, and I can't speak for other schools, but the kids sitting on the bench are getting paid not, it's not a living, but they're pretty damn comfortable for a student that also has all their tuition, room, and board paid. And a lot of fans are making sacrifices to come to games. So it's changed the dynamic between fans and players. It's just the new reality.
Right. The thing that for me, I don't feel sorry for Coleman Hawkins at all. You getting $2 million. I don't feel sorry for you. And it's not just Coleman Hawkins. I don't feel sorry for anybody that's getting paid to be in college to play sports. I don't feel sorry for you at all. But here's what I could say for the athlete side. I don't think a lot of them are looking for sympathy. Now, there's some that are wanting to play that role and looking for the sympathy, but most of them aren't looking for sympathy. They're just looking for respect. Right. If I play bad, fine. Tell me I play bad, but don't talk about me, my mother, my grandmother, and make it about race, all that kind of stuff like we talked about a couple of weeks ago, or make it somebody's church affiliation. Don't do that. You want to say that I played bad? Okay, I played bad. It is what it is. I have to live with it because I did. A fan saying something to me about playing bad isn't going to make me feel worse than having to walk into a locker room with the teammates that I, cry and blood and sweat and tear, the whole gamut of analogies every single day, having to look them in the eye, knowing that I played bad for them. Okay. So a fan saying it is just more piling on, but it's part of it. It is part of it, but you can deal with that. So, and again, I don't feel sorry for him that way, but the problem is the respect factor. They're looking for some respect. And my thing is, you could be the richest person in the world. You're still not going to get the respect. And their kids, and I say they're kids because they are, and they don't understand that yet. They haven't lived enough life to know there's going to be people jealous of somebody that makes $1 a year. Somebody's going to be jealous of that person because they got $1. So there's nothing that you can do on this earth to satisfy everybody. And unfortunately, these kids are getting all this money. There's a lot of jealous people out there because of that. And no matter what you do, you can't satisfy you could make the game-winning shot to win the national championship, and every single fan of your school got paid $100,000 because you did it. There will be somebody out there that says, why should it have come down to a last-minute shot? Why couldn't you beat them by 15? It's something like it's crazy. And you just, again, fan equal fanatic. I'm one of those, by the way. Fitz, I know Gills came to a game with me this year. I live and die on every possession. That's just who I am. I was born that way. My family raised me that way, and I'm going to be that way. And I think it's great.
No, it is.
The problem is I know the balance, and I think it's because I was on the other side of it. I may be mad at you, but I'm not going to talk bad about you. And the thing to flip it back maybe to Coleman Hawkins or to players is that with the NIL, people feel like because now you're getting played, like they should have more access to you. That's not true.
No.
Just because these guys are getting paid, that doesn't mean you should have more access to them. Part of that is if a player doesn't want that kind of access, turn off your social media. Yep. You don't have to be a part of it. That's your choice. So if you want to, I guess, bask in the fruits of that labor, you got to deal with the consequences. And I always say it, consequences, whether good or bad, for every action, you're going to have something. And you got to be willing to deal with it. In this case, look, again, it goes back to me where the team just wasn't as good for what – and it happens in all walks of life. How many times do we see a highly paid professional team that we think is going to be good and they're not? I think it happens in baseball more than anything. This team's payroll is $200 million. Heck, I'm a Mets fan. 2 years ago, we had the highest payroll in in Major League Baseball, and we were awful. It happens, man. It just happens, and that's the way that it is. But they're professionals, and they can deal with it. As kids, you don't know how to deal with it, and that's part of the problem that's going on here. But again, I am a big proponent of both, but there is a downside, Fitz. There is a downside, and I think that was raw emotion we saw, like you mentioned, from Coleman Hawkins, and that's the downside, is that fans get after you, they get into you, you feel it because you're not living up to expectations. There's two ways to do it is don't take the money, which you'd be a fool not to take the money.
Absolutely.
Or you just have to deal with it. And hopefully people can see this and kids can see this and just say, hey, man, look, I got to play for my team, my family, my school, in that order. And that's it. Just let it go. The fans are going to be with you and against you no matter what. NIL, use it to your advantage, but use it to your advantage.
Yeah.
Don't use it as a tool to think you are untouchable, because you are absolutely touchable. Think about LeBron James. Whether you like LeBron or you dislike LeBron, he's very touchable. Very touchable. And people get after him all the time. Don't tell me that LeBron doesn't hear or see the stuff that people say about him. He does. He absolutely does. Good and bad. So it's a learning lesson, in my opinion.
At the end of the day, this is a discussion about the addiction of social media.
Yeah.
And I feel qualified to speak on it because I'm the same way. I spend a lot of time on social media. I'm not as known as Coleman Hawkins or Jerome Tang, who spoke on this topic also after the game. But those two dudes are on social media a lot. They're well known. They're well paid, and they didn't have the type of season that was expected. Yeah, people are going to react. But again, we're accountable for ourselves. I take a lot of crap on social media. You want to know why? Because I allow myself to be on social media to take a lot of crap. I mean, if I just unplugged and people wanted to talk crap on me, there'd be no engagement. It might burn a little bit, but it wouldn't burn me because I'm not there. But people keep poking at the tooth that needs a filling. And that's what social media has become. I didn't play well. I better go to social media. Don't do it, man. Don't do it. And I think it's a personality of gregarious people sometimes that we do that. Well, I want to hear what people have to say. And then you just absolutely get beaten down because you put yourself on the roller coaster ride of social media. They love me. They hate me. They love me. They hate me. If you're going to be in this profession, if you're going to get paid that way, either get off social media or learn not to engage. These are both lessons I offer to you because I can't learn them myself.
Nope. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. It's a slippery slope. Don't get me wrong. I'm never going to be in the camp of NIL and transfer portal is ruining college sports. I'm never going to be in that boat. I don't believe that, but that doesn't mean that there isn't another side. Everything isn't just great about it either. There can be another side to it. So, hopefully people, and they won't, people are going to be who they are, unfortunately, but it just kind of is what it is. I just thought it was important to talk about that today to kind of bring this up because I saw it and, I felt bad in the moment for him, but on the same side of it, I'm like, look, you kind of put yourself in the situation. And again, it's a learning lesson. It's a learning lesson. It's like you want everything. Just again, when you're a kid, you just don't understand that there are consequences to everything, good and bad. No matter what, every action has a consequence. And unfortunately, there were a lot of negative consequences for the Kansas State basketball team this year that were not expected. And I think that had a lot to do with this. So, well, Fitz, I appreciate you joining us today, man. Had a good time. We'll talk about tomorrow, and we'll see that. Look, good basketball coming on today. Look, I mean, I'm ready to go watch it. I'm ready to go watch this thing. Big 12, from top to bottom. It's going to be some really good basketball. Go ahead.
So no live tonight?
No live tonight. No live tonight. I'm going to watch basketball.
I was like, okay, Kansas State lost because they would have been playing at 6. So I'm freed up for the live. And then I'm like, but I still want to watch basketball. Is Big B going to make me work?
Yeah.
I don't want to work. I want to play.
Here's the thing. Not only do I want to watch basketball, the people that are going to be watching, they're not going to watch because they want to watch basketball. I think it's more important to watch basketball during this time. Look, it's March Madness, man. It's my favorite time of year. I love it. So appreciate everybody. Thank you guys. And we will talk to you guys on Friday. You guys have a good one.
Thank you for watching the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. This has been a Spirit Street production.